What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 402 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week, where we will be breaking down some of the current events, the rumors, the news, the gossip, and everything else that went down in the world of professional wrestling over the past few days that we feel like talking about other than the TakeOver and SummerSlam events. If you want to check out our opinions on those, go and listen to the post shows that we had put up on Saturday and Sunday nights. But this is going to be all the other kind of stuff, things that happen on Raw, and etc. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
I like etc.
Etc. is a lot of fun. You know, it's a lot of things. That's kind of the point of it. I've actually used etc. on God knows how many different projects over the years. I think I had, like, when I tried to make my own comic book characters up, I think one of them was named etc. Actually. It was like a guy who would ramble all the time or something. I don't remember. Yeah, etc. Great, great phrase. So we have to talk a lot about a lot of shows, funny enough. And
Yes.
I want to start off with the non-WWE AEW indie wrestling side of things and start off with Glow. The past season, season 3, went down over the past week. I binge watched it. Did you binge it all in one shot, or did you kind of like sporadically watch?
I did not binge it all in one shot. I got through it in bits and pieces, but I loved this season as well.
I think that this might be my favorite season of it. And obviously, for anybody who is listening, spoilers for this. We're going to talk, not like for like half an hour. I'm not doing a whole like review point or something, but we will be talking about some other things. So if you don't want to know what happens and you haven't seen Glow yet, skip a little bit forward, and then if you start hearing us talk about something else, then you'll know that we're on a different thing. I'm not going to timestamp things. I don't know when we're doing, but 10 episodes, about half an hour a piece. I found it very easy to just binge the whole thing. I started it actually late. They usually come on at like 3 a.m. on Netflix, and I started it at like 5:30. So I was just assuming to myself, I'll watch like 3 episodes, and it's already way past the time that any normal human being should fall asleep, but let me just do that. And the next thing I know, it's, like 11 o'clock, and I'm like, I got 1 episode left, like kind of thing. So I thought that this was so easy to watch. I liked so much of it, and I did have my problems with it. I think that if you check the review on fanboysanonymous.com, you'll see more of a breakdown of some specifics, but I liked the first 7 episodes a lot better than the last 3.
My favorite episode was when they go camping.
That one was a fantastic episode. That and the one where they were all changing up their characters.
So one of the themes this season was a lot of relationship stuff, and specifically a lot of LGBT relationship kind of talk. What did you think about all that?
I had no problem at all with the different relationships that they were kind of focusing on. Like, I liked how, not minuscule, but I like how downplayed the relationship between Sam and Ruth was for a while of it, because I do think a slow burn works better with that than if they were to just be like full blown, like, let's make 3 episodes about that kind of a thing. The LGBTQ plus type stuff that they had here with Yolanda and Artie. They were a good side part of that. I was disappointed though with Bash.
Bash annoyed me as well. I felt like Bash was a gay character since the show started.
Yeah.
And I feel like they really didn't want to go all the way there with Bash.
They kind of dragged their ass a little bit, and they waited until like episode 8 before they were like, remember that he's kind of gay? And it was like, well, yeah, from the first season. And the second season really kind of hit home more on that with, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. Florian? Was that it? Why am I thinking Florian? That might not even be on this show. Whoever it was, his friend who had passed away from AIDS. Because a lot of the things, it's in the 80s, and, they're going to talk about that. Yeah, Florian Becker. So they they hit on that before about the idea that Bash was secretly gay and that was going to be something that would potentially work into season 3 and his marriage with Rhonda. And instead, it was like the first 3/4 of the season was like, no, his marriage with Rhonda is perfectly fine, and no hints that there was any kind of issue with that being like not his true self or anything. And they just kind of swept in and were like, yeah, but this. And I'm like, nah, they should have done better with that. It should have been like a couple little hints peppered out. Maybe there were and I didn't catch it, but I was disappointed in that.
The first major hint I got was when they're at the drag show and he does like the private show, the person doing the
Bobby, I think
they
is
were
his name.
playing Barbra Streisand, but they weren't.
Yeah,
Were they
Bobby
playing-
Barnes.
Yeah. I had mentioned that he kind of looks like Tony Hawk.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think that was the first time I really felt like it, because Bash was just so adamant about, I'm not doing, this is not a Bash Howard production. And yeah, I just feel like this wasn't much of a secret, but I guess playing with the context of the 80s, and they had to try to keep it secret. So maybe that's why they did the slow burn with it.
I also think it's a little bit like there's no need to have two characters with the exact same story arc. So if they were doing the whole thing with Artie and I think it's Artie, it might be Arthie, I don't know. Arthie makes more sense.
Arthur.
That she is kind of like in the closet, doesn't want to really admit that that's herself, and then Bash is doing the same thing. It was like, well, maybe you don't need both characters doing the same story. Just kind of like we had one injury for this one, and that one was Tammy. So Kia Stevens, Awesome Kong, for anybody who doesn't know, like that was her storyline for this, and nobody else was dealing with I'm at sideline with an injury and what do I do type of thing. So maybe that's why they pushed the Bash thing aside. Maybe that was just like one of the hiccups on there. But I liked so much of this. I mean, I did like the Bobby character when they brought him in particular, when it came to helping Sheila. Because that dropping that whole She-Wolf thing was one of my favorite parts of this whole season.
That was an amazing part, where she throws the whole gear in the fire. I thought that was fantastic.
She's talking about how it's like holding her back from being her true self and everything, and that's real emotional growth. And now I'm like, oh wow, what do we do with Sheila? Because this first season was, what's this Sheila the She-Wolf woman going to be doing? Is she going to be like a socially awkward weirdo? And then the second one, not as much stuff going on, but some other stuff here and there. And now it's like we're going to go into season 4, and it's like, who is Sheila going to be? She's not going to be the She-Wolf anymore. They don't have the access to those characters to begin with. So what type of character is she going to be? What type of person is she going to be? She's very, like, more confident with herself now. And is she going to be one of these people that's, like, leading the charge and maybe taking Ruth's place a little bit? Because Ruth leaves at the end of that? Or how is she going to butt heads with people? I'm really interested in where Sheila's journey goes.
I want to see a crossover episode at some point with Stranger Things, and I hope they get there. They're both set in the 80s. I want it. I deserve it, I think. And yeah.
Sheila the Demogorgon. That's the new character that she's going to go with.
You could definitely do a weird thing where you do a time warp and Eleven's a wrestler because she's got these freaky powers.
What about the whole situation with Melrose and Jenny? What did you think about that?
That was interesting, especially because I know that racial topics are a hot button issue to hit today, but Jenny was right. She was in very much of a, she had to jump out of a fortune cookie, you know? She was constantly dealing with these racial stereotypes. And Melrose is somebody who tried to mask a lot of serious things with humor. And I think they both helped each other out through the season. And specifically, I liked Jenny, and I want to see more of her growth and development. You know, like she stood up for herself, like, I need that raise because I'm making all the costumes here, and what the hell? I like seeing her grow as a character. I'd be lying if I didn't say my favorite was Arthi, because she seems so much more naive compared to all the other girls, and it's fun watching her not even understand what a breakup is. You know, like they have one disagreement, and she's like, "Oh, I thought we were finished."
I'm not the biggest fan of her compared to some of the other characters, but that's not to crap on her. It's more so just I like certain other ones better because they're so much more bombastic. Where Jenny was not one of my favorite ones. For instance, like I like Ellen Wong. She is a good actress and everything. She's cute, so that's another bonus point. But whatever. Uh, but I liked her this season more than anything else because I felt like her story really kind of gave itself a push. And even though Arthi is not on my top 5 favorites, she definitely took a step forward too. The only ones that really didn't were the biddies, but they're supporting characters anyway. They're there for just like to have a joke once in a while. They did have a little
Yeah,
bit of the story. They had the whole thing of them being like a little bit homophobic and then coming around, but that was very quick. I'm still not the biggest fan overall of Rhonda. There's parts that I like, parts I don't like. She's showing herself to be a lot smarter now, though, so that's good.
what do you think about Cherry?
Cherry, I like how she is the tough one who, whenever she's vulnerable, it's like it really hits her, you know? Like, you can tell that she is so used to being the one that has to be tough for everybody that something happens and her whole world's just like collapsing.
I really felt bad when she had that moment of like, I don't want to have kids. And you could see that it ripped her husband apart. And she really was just like, I don't think we've talked about what this would do for me. I've just been going along with like, I want, I want kids because you want kids. And I think you saw a lot more human sides of the girls this season, and I really enjoyed that more than I did the fake take on a real bad wrestling show from the 80s.
I identify so much with Sam. I think that he's such a self-actualized character that his whole side of things was great. I was a big fan of them addressing the back issues that the welfare queen character had and how they can turn that into somebody who's actually a manager. It's kind of like a Ted DiBiase type of situation where it's like, well, the person's really great at talking, but they can't really go as well in the ring anymore. Underwhelmed when it came to the idea that like Reggie doesn't ever do a damn thing, so what's the point? I like Carmen wanting to do more than being in the wrestling side of things for Glow and wanting to actually like be a part of the industry.
Yeah.
You mentioned Keith wanting family and doing the adoption thing. That was great. Very disappointed in the Justine side of things, though. I think that they pushed that off to the side until the very end as well. Oh, you know what I really liked? The parallels between Sandy, Gina Davis's character, and Debbie. And that they did this whole thing where they referred to her as the ghost of Christmas Future. And then at the
Yeah.
end of it, that they actually wrap it up with a Christmas Carol knockoff. I thought that was really nice.
I thought her character seemed, it was a bit character, but she really did push a lot of people, specifically Debbie, saying you should get more serious about being a producer and, kind of helping her out along the way. Debbie's developments were interesting. I like that she tried to bring a baby to a casino and then couldn't keep track of the baby for 5 seconds because she's not that good of a mother. That's the way I'm taking it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, she's
And
not the best.
she's really not. I'm sure she's gonna have like a Lily moment where she's just like, I don't want to be a mom. and sometimes I want to pack a bag in the middle of the night and run away.
Where do you
But
think that they're going for the next season?
I think you're definitely going to see a lot of struggling and a lot of lack of structure without Ruth. But you're going to be able to see some people step up, and I think you'll see growth in Arthi. You'll see growth in Sheila. It'll be interesting to see who is Sheila outside of that wolf thing,
I'm kind of in the same boat as you are. I think that the main story with this next season is going to be, since they don't have those rights to those characters as much anymore, all of them are going to be really struggling to try to figure out how do they want to take things in the next direction, because how is Tammy going to be something other than the welfare queen? What type of gimmick is she going to be? And what is Melrose going to do if all she is kind of like this slutty type of character? Is she going to want to do something? Jenny clearly is not going to want to do something that's like a stereotype. So how is that going to influence that thing? Are Yolanda and Arthi going to be a tag team and they're going to do that, something like that? Is there going to be problems with you said, like if Ruth is gone and Sam is gone, half the story dealing with them and the struggles of Hollywood and who steps up with Debbie, and and Carmen's gone too, so you don't even have her to rely on. So Cherry's gonna have to stand up a little bit too, and Sheila's gonna have to work in there, and definitely excited for this season.
I hope it comes really quick.
Me too. I'm assuming that it'll probably be next summer, but yeah, I definitely recommend if everybody is not turned off by spoilers and stuff. We talked about some of those things, but we didn't break down absolutely everything. I say watch it. I really think that if you listen to Smark Out Moment and you've not checked out Glow, and by some reason by now season 3's talked about stuff, you're going to go back and check season 1 and season 2, definitely do it. It's an easy watch. It's a good show.
Very good show, and I'm still waiting for Kristen Milioti to be Ruth's sister because they look so much alike to me.
Really?
Yeah. I really, in the face, I always get them confused.
Let's move on to, these are going to be kind of quick on these. So if anybody's interested, actually, before we do that, let's just toss out a couple plugs, and just in case if anybody's on that buffer side of things, you should be dropping your comments down below, telling us what you think about all these topics, including not only just what we talked about with Glow, but everything else that we're going to talk about later on. And if you are on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. If you're on the iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify and Google Play and all those kind of audio-only feeds, give us a star rating or whatever they have over there. Hop on over to the YouTube and do that stuff. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Smark Out Moment, and we'll talk some other plugs in a minute or so. But the other one, obviously, as I mentioned before, fanboysanonymous.com. If you have not checked that out and you want to see more of my thoughts on Glow, that is where you can find that. So go to Fanboys Anonymous on all those social media platforms and YouTube and stuff, and show support for that side of things. Very quickly here, WWE has a trademark, Fight Like a Girl. That's kind of a good transition. This is potentially going to be that reality series where they're trying to look for a new WWE superstar and they can't really necessarily use Tough Enough, and they only want it to be about the women's side of things. So what do you think about the idea, and what do you think about the name?
I feel like Fight Like a Girl is a silly name, and it just seems like something more along the lines of a charity for them, or a charity-based show. I think it's silly, because Fight Like a Girl, that's more along the lines of, yeah, it's the diva search, fight like a girl. I don't like it.
I'm not the biggest fan of it either. I love my puns and I love my references to things, but this feels like the first idea that they had and nobody tried to think of another one.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
Hold on. No, wait a minute. I can do some quick digging on this. I don't think it's for that reality show.
If it's not, and this is some kind of potential like actual show, like a Raw and SmackDown women's only thing, then that's even worse.
No. It's an unscripted series. I knew it. And nobody pays attention. I saw this fucking report going around, and I knew I already read what this was for. They have a partnership with Quibi, and Fight Like a Girl will be an unscripted series where Stephanie McMahon pairs a WWE star, obviously on the female side, with a young woman struggling with personal issues that have been holding her back. I knew this wasn't the fucking, like...
Oh, that's even worse then. I have no interest in watching that fucking show.
But I knew it. I said, this feels like a charity thing or like a feel-good thing. So, yeah, study up, guys.
Oh, there you go. Reports that said that was the reality series. You're wrong.
I win. Give me the awards.
I have even less interest in watching that then, because that strikes me as like a even more problematic version of that Boss show.
Yeah, I was gonna say Undercover Boss.
Undercover Boss, yeah, except it's just like, well, it's not the undercover part, it's just people having charity case things. And fuck that, I don't want to watch a single episode of that.
Each episode of the series was shot at the WWE Performance Center, featuring a stunning transformation and heart-pounding reveal as the women change their lives forever. I'm sorry, I feel like this ain't my thing.
No, this is just not good. And that's not because it's a women's show. If anybody's curious, that's why. It's just that these concepts of these like, we're gonna turn your life around and fix your house and whatever things, they're all fucking dumb. And if this was not Fight Like a Girl and it was WWE Fight for Your Right or whatever, and it was you could have anybody on this show. You could put Drake Maverick on there, and you could put Vince McMahon himself and whatever. And if it's all just like, these are my struggles, and remember, you can do anything if you set your mind to it. All right, well, go back to PBS. Like, I'm just not a fan of those kind of things. And if you like those shows, by all means, watch it. Tell me what you think about it. But I'm certainly not watching something like that.
And if you'd like to turn Tony's cynical attitude around, donate to the Patreon account.
If you want me to do a commentary on these shows, remember, we have that up there about the Big Show. Put that out in the universe. If you want us to do commentary on these types of things, you got to donate to the Patreon, because if we hit that like $200 mark or something, then we will do commentary on those shows. That is the best way to be a motivator for those things going forward. So patreon.com/smarkoutmoment, patreon.com/fanboysanonymous as well, if you want to see more from the fanboy side of things. And there's also the TeePublic and the Redbubble shops on the merchandise side of things. So pick up a t-shirt. That's another way that you can toss some spare change our way. Yeah, so that's a trademark. And another trademark thing that went down this week is AEW Revolution. Now, those same reporters and stuff were all jumping on, well, that's the name of the TV show. Well, we're pretty sure it's still just Wednesday Night Dynamite.
Or just AEW on TNT, and they've dropped the Dynamite completely.
Could be that. I don't think AEW Revolution is going to be the name of the show. I think that they are just trademarking that because they want that term to be branded with them. It's a wrestling revolution. It's AEW Revolution. It's whatever.
That's exactly what I thought as well.
Yeah, so I think that everybody's making a lot of hubbub about nothing over that. But if it does end up being the name of the show, then that's a bland name of a wrestling show.
I don't like it. I think it's just a tagline for AEW.
Yeah. Let's talk about some network specials. There was WWE Untold, Team Hell No. I say definitely watch this one. This one was actually my favorite Untold that they've done so far.
I didn't see it. I wanted to, but with everything going on with this weekend, I just didn't get the chance to.
I say see it.
All right, I will be seeing it.
They break down some of the different things that they did back in the Team Hell No. Obviously, that's the point of it. It's like the production side, where, just to spoil one of them, they really wanted to be Team Friendship, and Team Hell No was their least favorite. So they had an idea of a T-shirt that would have been like a hand-drawn, like a little kid draws Daniel Bryan and Kane holding hands kind of thing, and there's a
Team Friendship.
rainbow behind it and stuff. They wanted to be Team Friendship for those T-shirts. So when Team Hell No was decided with that WWE Raw Active poll thing,
Yeah,
they were
doing
so
that for a while. weren't
annoyed
they?
about that because they were like, "Oh, there goes all our merchandise sales and stuff." They talked
Yeah.
about how when they filmed that thing in the parody of When Harry Met Sally in the diner, that actually half of the diner was still open for business. So they were doing that while people were actually eating. There's some cool moments like that. 100% check out the WWE Untold episode.
the Raw active polls were shit.
I wasn't the biggest fan of them.
Always
They were interesting in theory, but the execution was flawed.
they cut that shit out real quick when they tried to allow the fans to name the Unified World Title, and they picked WWE Unified World Title, and they went, nope, we're going with World Heavyweight Title.
There was also WWE Chronicle, Seth Rollins. I was not the biggest fan of this one. I say skip it.
Yeah, it was very basic. And the part that turned me off a lot was Seth Rollins called Becky Lynch the love of his life. And I'm like, slow down there, Tex.
I'm okay with that. It's just the idea that a lot of it was built around that, and I don't feel like this was necessarily like the right week with so many things going on that they needed to put this one up there. Like they could have easily just put this on next week or something. Maybe added like an extra couple things to it where like it ended with him winning the title back, because this was a lot about the idea of him holding that Universal Championship and then losing it and feeling a responsibility to get it back and whatever like that. So that would have been a better ending, I think, if they would have just filmed one more week's worth of content. Even then, though, that would have cut out, it would have taken longer to get around to that. And maybe they cut some other things out of the mix, but there were some good parts. There's some parts that just dragged. So I say skip it, but by all means, if you want to check it out, go ahead and do it. There was also WWE 24, which I hate the name of that title. Kofi Kingston, The Year of Return. And I loved this one. Did you get a chance to watch that?
I did, and Kofi Kingston is the best feel-good story in WWE right now, and this proved it.
Big fan of the very beginning of this onward. They talked about how much it meant to him to go to Ghana. They showed footage of him in there, how much it meant to all the people there. He's a success story from a place that doesn't have things like that all that often. And they talked about the Jamaican accent. They addressed the idea of him potentially getting fired right off the bat from those vignettes, with Vince just being like, oh God, this is barely passable and whatever. I was a big fan of this one. I thought this one was great. It shows a lot of Kofi's background.
I think Kofi Kingston is proof that even though we want to shit on a lot of things WWE does, when they do these happy ending stories, it really pays off, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And all the more reason why he is, unless something really gets derailed, he's going to be my pick for the best champion this year.
Yeah, and I would have to agree with you. I can't see any change coming, because even on the NXT side, I don't think the reigns have been all that defined, and Kofi Kingston has just had a fantastic run at the top.
The only person who's in the running right now is R-Truth.
Yeah.
It's the saddest thing, isn't it?
12, 13-time champion?
Yeah, just like best title reign was, I don't know, with him as a champion, insert random time or something. But we also had another one, because there was just so many WWE Network shows this week, and this one was just after Monday Night Raw, which was Table for Three, Little Big Appetite, with Alexa Bliss, Braun Strowman, and Ember Moon. I didn't get the pairing at first, but then it became pretty obvious about the idea that Bliss and Strowman were Team Little Big in main event, a mixed match challenge, not main event. And then when Bliss was injured, Ember Moon had replaced him, and I completely forgot that Ember Moon and Braun Strowman were Monster Eclipse. Totally forgot about that.
Totally forgot that too.
So that makes so much more sense.
Yes.
Now, you missed this one, correct?
I did miss this one. I was doing a live stream with WrestleZone.
If you get a chance, I say everybody should check it out. It's weird because, like the KFC things that they've done with Ride Along, this is 100% an Applebee's tie-in. Like, they're at Applebee's, and there's even a part of it where the waitress comes by and the server is like, do you want me to list all the fucking specials? And she didn't say fucking specials, but that would be great if she was just like, you want me to list the fucking specials? No, she's like, hi, welcome to Applebee's. Can I give you, like, my specials for today and whatever? And I'm like, oh, I'm not liking this at all. But Braun Strowman is so fucking entertaining. Here's some gems from it. He says he drinks 3 to 4 gallons of water a day. His means to ask Ember Moon, how is it going over to SmackDown in the Superstar Shakeup was, so how's Blue for you? It's like, he says, I'm the songbird of my generation, I've been told. Because he apparently sings all the time. He gets offended, practically, that Ember Moon's not eating her burger. They all ordered burgers. So he fucking eats it for her. Or as he says, I'll help you with it. He eats her entire burger.
You know.
He eats half of Alexa Bliss's quesadilla burger as well. Later on, he goes, I'm looking out for my girlish physique. Only cheeseburgers, no fries.
I love him.
He said as well that Vince McMahon told him after he had dropped 40 pounds, he said, you look great. Don't lose any more weight. So then his response was, oh, I got to bulk up. And they also tossed out the idea that with this wild card rule that, and this is like a little insider term, I guess, that they are referring to it as the purple loop because you're on both Raw and SmackDown at the same time. And when you mix that together, you get purple. So they just completely disregard 205 Live when it comes to that.
The purple loop.
Like, you're on that purple loop. You're going between Raw and SmackDown and the wild card rule a lot. So, like, Roman Reigns is like, he's on the purple loop. That kind of thing.
I love that. That's awesome.
And the food looked good. So that's another thing. I was hungry. I'm like, man, I could go for some fries and I could go for a burger right now. So I definitely say check that out for those little pockets of wisdom. Braun is just the fucking best. And of course, that happens right after Monday Night Raw ends and Braun Strowman makes the save. So it's like, 2 things right in a row of Braun Strowman being the man. What else do I have here? This is a quick thing. WWE Studios renamed Audio Studio 2 the Mean Gene Okerlund Studio.
I love that.
That's cool. I like that.
I love that so much. Mean Gene Okerlund is one of the greatest backstage interviewers of all time. And I really wish we had one of the many backstage personnel that acted like Mean Gene, that actually plays with the people and, it feels human.
Yeah, and I love when different companies do stuff like this where it's like the such and such stage or they name certain wings after certain people and everything. And Mean Gene Okerlund was such a big fixture in this pro wrestling industry that's great that they did that. Forever going forward, I'm assuming that they will just refer to that as the Mean Gene Okerlund Studio. And if they want to switch things up with that new headquarters or something, then by all means, something else needs to be the Mean Gene Okerlund Studio or something. Yeah, that was another extra little thing. Let's talk AEW. Orange Cassidy has officially signed, and I'm going to lump this in with it. Cody Rhodes has said that they've only revealed about 40% of the AEW roster. So
that's insane.
You can tell by the way that they've used certain people that certain people obviously seem like they are in the company and they haven't been officially announced yet. Like Riho has not been officially announced as being a part of the roster. But who else do you think is in that kind of 60%? That's math. 60% that hasn't been announced yet.
I would say Teal Piper.
Is she even did she even wrestle before?
Apparently, this is her first big time foray into wrestling, but I
How
think
old
they
is
should
she?
sign her. I have no clue. I looked it up because we
I
talked
tried to
about
look it
this.
up too because I was like, she could be anywhere from like 26 to like 45.
Jeez, that's a gap. Evilise, if she's not signed, they should sign her.
I'm
Same with
assuming
Jazz.
yeah. I mean, Evilise is going to be in that Casino Battle Royale, so she pretty much has to be signed at this point.
Who are some other names in the fucking Casino Battle Royale from the first one? I know Brian Pillman Jr. is signed to MLW, so they couldn't sign him.
Let's see. We can try to look that up a little bit because, yeah, I would assume that that's where a lot of these names are. It's like here and there we've seen some people pop up that maybe they won't, maybe they are just kind of. Oh God, what was her name? Shoko Fukujima, I think. From Fight for the Fallen. Like maybe she's not necessarily signed, but maybe she is. And T-Hawk and El Lindemann from Strong Hearts, maybe they are.
I assume a couple more tag teams are signed. Like, you know, they could sign LAX. That's been popular rumor. Maybe Colt Cabana's signed. I kind of think he is. I think that's maybe why the podcast is wrapping up. Yeah, there's a lot of names, and I really hope CM Punk is one of them. I know I'm like sounding like the sheep now, but they need a guy the caliber of Punk, because Orange Cassidy's great, but let's be fucking real, Tony. They're not. Orange Cassidy is not helping their heavyweight division. He's just
It's not
more
gonna.
fluff.
I don't think anybody's gonna look at Orange Cassidy and be like, "Well, I'm not watching WWE anymore. I'm watching a guy that pretends to be a guy who pretends to be a wrestler." All that. But it's kind of neat that if that's true, that they have a lot of people that are just kind of waiting in the wings to be signed, or that they have been signed and they just haven't brought them out yet in some kind of official capacity. Like as far as I know, Pac, Pac should be somebody that you can count on as being a part of the company. And you said the 21 man battle royal. There's probably some other people in there. Ace Romero, has he been official yet? I don't think so.
I don't think so, but he's probably signed.
Yeah. So if that's true and it's about 40% or so, then people like Orange Cassidy, who you saw pop up, I would assume pretty much all of them are probably in that. Big fan of the Orange Cassidy thing that I had seen though, so yay. I like the idea of him being something different. Very quickly, let's talk Sasha Banks. She returned on Raw tonight. She's got blue hair now, and she's a heel.
She is gorgeous. She won the Sexiest Superstars tournament because she's gorgeous. The blue hair, I think, looks really good. And I am so happy she's back because there was this very real moment today between the podcast we did last night and the WrestleZone Daily today where people just went, who the fuck is going to challenge Becky? Wait a minute, I think we need Sasha. It went from like, oh boy, I hope Sasha comes back and maybe she does a thing with Bayley to, wait a minute, I think Becky needs Sasha. And sure enough, she beat the crap out of Becky Lynch with a chair.
Yeah, and that's obviously going to lead towards Clash of Champions. Not the biggest fan of the blue hair, I have to admit. I really wish that she would have just kept her own normal hair. But it's interesting that they went in this direction.
It's the visual of red versus blue, redhead versus blue hair. She looks so much better than Sonic the Hedgehog, and I think I just like it.
I think that it's great that she's returned, and I think that they're going to have a great match, and obviously we will break that down when we get a little bit closer to Clash of Champions. But we also have to talk about the other big thing that happened on tonight. They announced that King of the Ring is returning.
Yes.
They did it in a kind of haphazard sort of way. It was like, hey, by the way, King of the Ring. And that was like, well, what the fuck? You know, that kind of thing. And then they slowly started to add some more information, and Michael Cole kind of spit out a bunch of names and stuff. And this is where we're standing. Next week on Monday Night Raw, there will be the start of the King of the Ring tournament. It is going to feature 8 superstars from Raw, 8 from SmackDown. We think that we know the 16 people that are in it, which are in alphabetical order: Ali, Andrade, Apollo Crews, Baron Corbin, Buddy Murphy, Cedric Alexander, Cesaro, Chad Gable, Drew McIntyre, Elias, Kevin Owens, The Miz, Ricochet, Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, and Shelton Benjamin. And we don't know when it's going to end. It could very well go like the majority of Raw and then finish on like the majority of Raw, the majority of SmackDown, and then finish the next week after that. Or they could drag this out a couple weeks or so. And maybe there's even the possibility that the final takes place at Clash of Champions.
I would do that.
But then again, you have to incorporate a lot of titles on that card, and I don't know if there's room for it. So
there's 2 guaranteed tags. There's 4 singles, 2 women's. That's what, 8 matches?
I think that there's 12 titles that they would have to, because it's every title is on the line. So
2 tags, 2 mid card,
3 tags.
Oh fuck yeah!
'Cause of
3
women's.
tags, 2 mid card, 2 heavyweight. What is that? 7
is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 if you count the 24/7 championship.
All right, so with 11 titles, you could totally do the cruiserweight go on the pre-show like usual. The 24/7 can be interspersed throughout the night.
Right, that's definitely going to be just like little quick segments.
And then, listen, I think you can totally get a fucking King of the Ring final on the card.
Well, remember, we don't have the same amount of time that we did for SummerSlam.
Barely, you're only shaving an hour, and
Yeah.
that hour didn't see any competition.
Well, we had 3 matches on the
On
pre-show.
the second hour.
Oh, that's right, we did kind of do that. Well, between stuff like Rollins has to defend, Kingston has to defend, all that stuff, they might do something like that, and that might be another way to get some more people on the card. But we will try to figure that out over the course of when they start announcing this kind of stuff. So normally in this kind of a scenario, I would try to drag this out. I would try to make this something where we would do a whole big long main event this week and discuss like ranking the people and all that. I'm going to be writing up a bunch of articles about it. One of them has to go up actually in a couple hours, so I'm going to talk about it ad nauseum, and we will talk about it each and every week. But I want to kind of make this sort of a breakdown of first impressions and stuff. Cool with the idea of King of the Ring returning?
Love the idea.
Big fan of it as well. What do you think about the idea of that they didn't do a Queen of the Ring? I'm okay with it.
I don't care. Let me backtrack. Not that I don't care about a Queen of the Ring. I don't think it's necessary when you have the Mae Young Classic as your women's tournament, which
that's how I
Triple
feel.
H has announced is coming back. They're just not doing it in October because they don't want to take away too much attention from SmackDown on Fox. Also, Charlotte is the fucking queen. There's no need for a tournament.
And it's just King of the Ring is there because it's like King, Ring, Queen of the Ring. You're just doing it to try to do another women's tournament. Like you said, the Mae Young Classic, they have that. You don't need that necessarily. And this is, let's be honest, they're doing this because they want to get interest on Raw and SmackDown. They're not doing it because it's like, well, we have to do our annual King of the Ring. They haven't done one since 2015. And there's been lots of talk before that Vince McMahon does not like tournaments. So that's one of the reasons why. And you got to see that this is one of those things that this was a suggestion of either the network executives, Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff, Triple H, Bruce Pritchard. Somebody suggested, why don't we do a King of the Ring tournament? Maybe that'll get people to tune in. And that's why they're doing it. They're not doing it to be like, well, we need to set this kind of standard or something. Again, I will talk about this in more detail on the article side of things, but here's...
Let's talk out your article a little bit, because I know...
this is another thing I wanted to break down, is I separated the 16 competitors into 3 sections of 6 people who I think are unlikely to win, with one of them being a guarantee not to win. 5 people who are possible, but I think that they got more of a long shot than anything else. And then 5 people who are my top 5 picks. So I will go with, what do you think we should do? Do you think we should go alphabetical order and toss some names out there? Or do you think that we should go unlikely and that kind of thing?
Go alphabetical order, and we'll just throw out a quick yay or nay, and if I see a name that I think warrants more discussion, I'll stop you. So a quick Mount Rushmore.
So Ali is on my list of top 5.
Ali is not in my top 5.
I will admit, part of it is I kind of want them to have King Ali, Fabulous Ali Ababa. Just because it's like the Prince Ali, King Ali. But no, I really think that Ali's got a shot because they've been wanting to say that he's been working towards something. And if they don't give him the Intercontinental Championship, maybe this is something. I don't think that he's my number 5 out of my top 5. I'll put it that way. Andrade is also my top 5.
Andrade's got a shot.
He is tied for my number 1 spot right now. There's 3 people who I'm like, oh, these 3 are going to win. And I just don't know how to rank them 1, 2, and 3. Andrade's in that bracket, though.
Andrade can put up a good showing. I think he's got a shot. I think he's top 5. Maybe, but he's not top 3.
Apollo Crews is in my bottom tier.
Apollo Crews is just here to put on a good match.
Yeah, I don't think that he's got much of a chance at all. It could happen. We've seen stranger things happen over the past.
Great
Mabel
show.
won. Billy Gunn was a surprise, you know. Baron Corbin was originally on my list as one of the top people, and then I pushed him off slightly to the number 6 rank.
He's in my top 3.
Really?
Yeah, because I think Baron Corbin rocking a crown, covering up that bald head like Neptune in the SpongeBob movie, and rocking a scepter and basically saying, "You can't get rid of me, I'm your king now," is the most unapologetic WWE thing that WWE could ever do.
I mean, there's a possibility for sure. They could do something where they have like, well, heels work better as King of the Ring. And if Baron Corbin is going through the whole Golden Gloves winner and he's retired Kurt Angle and all these list of accomplishments, King Baron Corbin is totally a possibility. Where I push him off the side of that top 5 list, though, is I feel like he doesn't need a King of the Ring to do that. He could just still be himself. Somebody else, I think, could use it.
True.
Buddy Murphy is in my bottom tier.
Buddy Murphy, I love him, but he is not a King of the Ring.
And he's got a storyline going on right now with Roman Reigns, and he seems like he's just kind of pushed off to the side a little bit when it comes to that. Like, he's just going to lose to Roman. He didn't get anywhere when it came to Apollo Crews and the Rowan thing. So I think that they'll have him do a decent showing, but I don't think that he's going to go past... He might not even go past the first round, but if he does, I think he gets taken out in the semifinals.
I don't think he gets
semifinals,
past the first round.
The quarterfinals or whatever it will be. It's round 2. That's what I mean. What is round 2? Is that quarterfinals?
Quarterfinal.
Yeah. No, that wouldn't be.
Yeah, opening round.
Quarterfinals is round 3 and semifinals is round 4.
No, it's opening round, quarterfinal, semifinal.
Because round. Oh, I'm looking at my 32. Yeah, that makes sense. Never mind. 12:40 a.m. So there's Cedric Alexander. I have him in my bottom tier.
Alexander the Great would be a great name for the King of the Ring.
I
But
do
he
like
won't
that.
happen.
I might have to steal that. Cesaro is in my top 3.
Yes, mine as well.
King Cesaro has a good feel to it. He needs something to give him a little bit of an edge. Clearly, they do like him, but they feel like he needs a boost on the promo department. So Cesaro he's a good choice. A damn good choice.
Very good choice. Paul Heyman, who is now running Raw, had dubbed him the King of Swing, and I want him to be the King of Swing that is the King of the Ring.
King
And
of the ring swing.
The ring swing king of the swing ring king. I like it. I want Cesaro to go very far, if not win the whole thing.
I'm a big fan of Chad Gable, but he's in my bottom tier.
They could make a star with this tournament, though.
They could. I just think that it would be too hard to assume that they would go with him over somebody like a Drew McIntyre, who is my current
Pick.
number 1.
Yeah, mine as well. Because it just makes sense. And as long as the crown and the robe aren't hokey.
See, this is where it's weird, though. And I will put this out there as...
Be a badass.
If McIntyre doesn't win, I think that they might have him lose in the first round. I would not be shocked at all if they had Drew McIntyre versus Cedric Alexander and Cedric beats him in the first round.
That would make the rest of the tournament very interesting.
It would. And like you said, they can make a star out of this. They can make any of these people could benefit from being King of the Ring. My very, very bottom is Elias.
Mine as well.
He has his gimmick. He doesn't need the King of the Ring thing. It wouldn't make any sense for him to be the king. He's got the 24/7 championship now. So I think next week he's losing because of R-Truth.
But he could also be the king of rock and roll.
That's true. He could do that.
You know, sometimes I do this shit on the WrestleZone show, and Kevin goes, "Oh, you must have been sitting on that all day." If you don't think that I just ramble this shit off the top of my head, listen, the king of rock and roll is a very good idea. But so is Alexander the Great.
Yeah. Kevin Owens, they could go with if they want to try to repeat the whole Stone Cold Steve Austin thing.
No,
but
you might have just sold me on Kevin Owens.
I don't think that that's the right way to go. And I think that he's somebody who could last until maybe the semifinals and then lose. And maybe that's the story they want to tell. Because they haven't specified yet if this is going to be the left side of the bracket, it's Raw, and the right side of the bracket, SmackDown. Or if there's going to be some kind of like wild card interspersing.
I think there's wild card interspersing because I see Kevin Owens losing to either Drew McIntyre or Elias because of Shane McMahon involvement.
Then again, though, Elias is on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, there you go, Elias. Yeah. But I still think there will be some interspersing because you can do a lot more fun matches that way.
I think that they could very easily go with the whole thing of just Raw and SmackDown separate, but they haven't clarified, so I don't know. Miz is in my mid-tier at the very bottom of the list. I don't think that works with him as a babyface.
Exactly. If he was a heel, he'd probably be my top 3.
Actually, if anything, I'm probably going to switch that up and be Cedric Alexander above the Miz on the bottom tier. Now that I'm thinking about that. Ricochet is in my top tier. He is just slightly above Ali.
It'd finally make his Twitter handle make sense.
Yeah. And if he was King Ricochet in the past, maybe that's their inspiration for wanting to do the King of the Ring thing to begin with. Maybe it's just like, well, he's not going to win the United States title anytime soon again.
Listen, let's call it what the fuck it is. I don't want to see a babyface win this tournament.
I'd be cool with it if they actually have a plan. If it's just a matter of like to do something for 1 week and then that's it, then it has to be a heel. Who else we have here? Sami Zayn. He can't.
He's got a good shot.
He can't though.
Why not?
He's already doing something that's separate from that. Like, then again, Bad News Barrett didn't fucking need it, so you know.
But he can be such a king with a shit-eating grin of like, I'm the king of you parasites. Like, look at me, I'm the king. Can you just see him, like, doing his little ska dance? Like, look at me, dance for me, everybody. At the very least, they're gonna do a full-on, like, king thing, like King Booker. He needs to be the court jester.
I don't remember this King Booker. I remember King Booker, but not King Booker.
I'm gonna...
I loved how they used to do that. Samoa Joe, King Samoa Joe would be kind of funny with the whole he's lording around like King Kong kind of thing or whatever. But I don't think it's happening. He's in my mid tier. Where do you got him placed?
I don't see him going very far. I do think he'll be paired up with Buddy Murphy, and that'll play into the whole Roman Reigns thing. What are you feeling about Joe as a pseudo babyface right now?
I just don't think he's babyface. I think that they're just sticking to that whole Dan O'Brien's the worst out of everybody type thing.
Funny how the times have changed.
Biggest babyface in the whole thing. Oh, we're gonna make him the most evil one.
Try to kill somebody.
And the last one is Shelton Benjamin, which is like, where the hell did Shelton Benjamin come out of here? But that's cool. I'm a fan of Shelton Benjamin, and I want to see where this whole stupid looking back and forth, kind of left and right shtick is going to go. Maybe that's just going to be a completely stupid gimmick where he goes out there and he just gets pinned in 2 seconds, and that's just a way to do a quick match, and he's a sacrificial lamb. Or maybe they actually want to use him for something once in a while.
Listen, that looking around and thinking about what you're doing is going to look a lot better with a crown on his head.
King Shelton Benjamin, gold standard. He's in my bottom tier. He's my second least likely option to win.
Very interesting tournament. Very interesting names. I have to assume that Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff chose a lot of these, because who else but Paul Heyman would choose Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable and Buddy Murphy?
Maybe they are listening to the idea of how they need to start making some new stars, or maybe they just want to have a couple list of people that seem good enough, but they're still the sacrificial lamb type, where if it would be, say, Kevin Owens against Bo Dallas, you'd be like, all right, I know who's going to win. But if it's Kevin Owens against Apollo Crews, then you're like, oh, maybe. Or, well, maybe Buddy Murphy gets a real strong push and maybe he beats somebody like The Miz or whoever, you know?
I like whoever.
I do think, though, Drew McIntyre is my number one right now. And if it's not him, Andrade. And then Cesaro is my number 3. Ricochet is my number 4. Ali is my number 5.
I think that's fair. I got McIntyre number 1, Cesaro number 2, Corbin number 3.
I'm also glad that certain people weren't in this, like Aleister Black and Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. Like, they could not do something like that with Bray Wyatt right now.
Yeah.
No need for, like, Randy Orton to be in there. He's fighting for the world title. Styles doesn't need it. He's U.S. champ, you know. Roman, if they would put Roman in there, that would have been like, all right, come on. But I'm disappointed that Robert Roode isn't in there. Because, hell.
Who did he beat tonight?
No way, Jose.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Jose. No love for EC3. No love for Rusev still. I'm more and more thinking that Rusev is just going to quit.
It's a shame, because King Handsome Rusev the Potato would have been fantastic.
So we will obviously see this play out over the course of at least next week, but maybe even longer, because I'm at the very least assuming that they can't do the full tournament on Raw, the full tournament on SmackDown, and have that be the end of it, because the only way to do that would be to do at least like the 8 matches on Raw and then pick up where they left off and do the rest of them on SmackDown. But they gotta push it to the Raw afterward or something. Maybe even Clash of Champions. So over the course of August and September a little bit, if that's the way that they're planning it out, we will have these updates on the Raw and SmackDown pages. and we'll have them on a separate page on smarkoutmoment.com. And by the time that it all comes around and we all figure out who the next King of the Ring is, then maybe we'll do some kind of breakdown of that. If it's part of Clash of Champions, obviously we will not specify something separate on that. We will just talk about that on the Clash of Champions card. But if they do it on an episode of Raw or something, then maybe we'll incorporate that in the hot tags or whatever it ends up being. I don't know. We don't even know if they're going to stick to these 16 people. They could change their mind. So any other thoughts you want to wrap up on anything else hot tag wise?
Long, busy week in the world of wrestling. I don't think anything is going to feel bigger than the Sasha return and the King of the Ring talk. And strap in, because this is where it gets even more busy. Because StarCast and All Out are coming.
Alrighty, everybody. Well, that is the hot tags. Did some plugs for pretty much everything at this point. Patreon, merch, fanboys, Facebook and Twitter, and all that other kind of stuff. But if you did not check that out, listen earlier, and you should know the plugs by now. Any other ones you want to toss out plug-wise?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dude Felice. You can check out the WrestleZone Daily, Monday through Thursday on Facebook.com/WrestleZone.com. Check out Fightful. I'll be joining their team on Friday. Check out eWrestling News, The Ring Report. Check out all the weeklies at smarkoutmoment.com. And check out 2001 Wrestling Odyssey, which is the podcast where myself and Callum Wiggins go back into 2001. And we just spoke about King of the Ring in the June edition. So go back in the archives and check that out. And there's also episodes for July, January through April with the special on WrestleMania X7. Lots of good stuff.
Alrighty, everybody. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for the G1 Climax stuff that we're going to talk about later on this week in the main event. And whatever else is happening here, you will find it all on smarkoutmoment.com. Thank you for listening for this. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.